Random thought. What's the worst way you've been broken up with or that you broke up with somebody? And I asked this simply because as we were watching Married at First Sight season 14, your new favorite show, the first episode, I want to say one of the ladies, she was talking about the last time she was engaged and her fiance was on the way home and he's like, don't make dinner. We need to talk. Like, that's gotta be, because, she's got it in her head. I'm going to make, what was it spaghetti squash? Or, I don't know what the hell you make, but you're going to make something nice. And all of a sudden you put all this thought into what you're going to make for dinner. You go, hey, honey, don't make dinner. that's gotta suck.
This would really be like serious relationships. This isn't like, we met on Match.com, hung out for a few weeks and ended it. We're talking like serious relationships, right?
For the record, honey, I've never been on Match.com. Go ahead, Terrell. No, we're not talking. We're talking serious relationships.
Match, Bumble, Hinge, Tinder, whatever. Okay. I've never been in a serious relationship and broke up with someone badly. I feel like all the serious relationships I've been in, it was a conversation, either in person or on the phone. I don't recall, if we just talked for a couple weeks, I'm not feeling it. That could be a text, but it's not serious. Right. So I don't know. I can't think that I've done anything that harsh. Have I been broken up with in a bad... I had a couple, 2 different relationships that I was just like, WTF. One is when I was in Memphis, I'm dating this girl. Like, we're talking, everything's great. I think I'd met her dad, and back then, I went to church with her and all that, even though I'm not a big church person, but I was like,
You must have been serious.
Yeah, right? I totally was. And then, all of a sudden, never heard from her again. Like,
What?
She fell off the face of the earth. I had no idea for like 2 or 3 weeks, never heard from her, and I would call, I'd leave messages, emailed, nothing. And then I called her house, at her parents' house, and talked to her dad. I'm like, hey, I just haven't heard from her. I just want to make sure she's okay. And I left a message. So I guess her dad told her she needs to call me. And so she did. And I was just like, who does that to someone? She even, she met my mom. And I think meeting my family is a big deal. If you meet my family and you fuck me over, that's a problem. So there's that one. And then I've been broken up with via text before. And I'm just like, it's different. Right before Christmas is awesome. But yeah, but I mean, I don't think I've done anything.
Had you already bought the gift though? Had you bought the gift? Were you able to return it?
I used it, treated myself to something, but yeah, but I haven't done anything that bad. And that dude, whoever she was with, the shitty thing, you're engaged. And like, hey, don't make dinner. And like, why can't she still make dinner? Why can't y'all just break up over dinner? Is it because it's awkward?
Probably is. I mean, think about this. I mean, now you've been in HR and been in management for a long period of time. You've let people go. I've let people go. And they always tell you when you're firing someone or letting them go, or whatever fancy term you want to use to make it sound a little better. They always say, just stick to the facts. Don't get emotional. Keep it short. Keep it sweet, and get it done. So is that the same thing with breaking up? Because I mean, you don't want to sit there and get emotional and then get long-winded, because then you end up talking yourself right back into the relationship. By the time it's up, well, what about if we just...
So maybe
like, fuck.
So here's the deal, and this could be a side business for somebody, is you're a breakup HR consultant, because in an HR situation, you normally have the manager.
Hold up, stop it, stop right now, because we're going to go ahead and trademark this, and we're going to do it. Regular guys breakups.
There you go. You can use us.
Regular guys.
Yeah, you can use us to be your HR consultant, because normally at a business setting, you have the manager, you have the employee that's getting fired, and an HR representative sitting there. So there's a third party there. So imagine if you need to break up with somebody, you want to do it via video, reach out to us, rgrtpod at Gmail, and we can hop on a Zoom call with you and the person you want to break up with, and be that person in the middle, to where, hey, you go ahead and say your piece, She's gonna, she or he is gonna ask why. I don't understand. And then as this.
Now, Chad, you got to listen to what
Chad,
Becky's saying.
Just listen.
Listen carefully.
Becky, I need you to listen to understand, not listen to respond. Okay? Right? And Chad, how does this make you feel? So do you feel we can move on from this?
Becky, use your words. Use your words. Stop the eye rolls. That smoke coming out your ears, that's not healthy.
Becky, you're shutting down. You're shutting down. Do we need to take a 5-minute pause? Let's take a 5-minute pause. and then we create a document that they agree on, that if they're living together, let's write down what's going to happen, how we're going to move out, who's going to move out where, and then let's talk about it. Do we still sleep together even though we're breaking up? Are we going through this? How do we manage that? If there's a pet, okay, let's talk about it. Do you want to see the pet? You get the dog Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then, Becky, you get the dog Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sunday, toss up. Y'all can alternate. Each of you get an extra Sunday.
Who gets to go to which favorite spot?
Yeah.
What days is it?
So what bars did y'all hang out at? Okay, so Chad, you can no longer go to that restaurant. That's Becky's place. Chad, do you agree? Great. And then we get the terms written down. We have them a DocuSign. And then, boom. What do you think we should charge for that?
A lot, because this sounds like a...
No, I think it's great.
Oh, my God. Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Yonni Terryl.
And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard two people having crazy conversations?
Well, we are those guys, and we've been doing this since college.
Yes, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast, episode 70. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
A lot happened over the last week, right? I mean, you've had President Biden dropping his ether bars on Trump about January 6th. Trump was supposed to do a rally on January 6th. Like, why? But here it is, this anniversary. And I finally got around to watching 4 Hours at the Capitol. Have you seen this documentary?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It is so crazy because it's going through the eyes of people that were there. Some of them being videographers, some being reporters, some just people that were actually there and going through this timeline, documentary style, right? And it's the belief that people had. You're actually in the crowd watching people's reaction. And it looks like something in a movie for real. Mm-hmm. And just even the last stand that the officers had. And when they talk about, Officer Fanon, who got dragged out and somebody was saying, kill him with his gun, grab his gun, kill him with his gun. He's the one that said, I've got kids, and somebody picked him up hoping to touch on somebody's humanity. And it did. It worked for him. And they literally put him back inside. It sounds like something out of a movie. And if we saw this in a movie, we'd be like, yeah, right. But this actually did happen.
Yeah, it's... I'm so glad that President Trump did not hold the deal at Mar-a-Lago on January 6th. I mean, that's just... It doesn't surprise me that was his thought, and it took a lot of people to talk him out of it. But it still just blows my mind that in our lifetime we saw that. And I literally remember what I was doing. I was working in that nook of a space, remember, in my old apartment? Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing these alerts on my phone, and I'm on all these conference calls. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And then I turned on the TV, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just crazy that happened. And you have so many people that still think they did nothing wrong, that were a part of that. Now, I'm not talking about the people that went to the rally. You have your constitutional right to go do that. You have your constitutional right to stand outside of the Capitol and yell and picket and do all the things you want to do. I'm okay with all the people that did that. It's the people that were broken, climbing the walls, busting windows, and all that stuff, running all through, looking for Nancy Pelosi, looking for Mike Pence, going through documents, and all those people that did that. I'm like, how can you not say that you're wrong? And you're wrong because a lot of them, you went in covering your faces, you had masks on, you didn't want to be seen because you were doing something wrong.
Not only that, some of the things that was said, like there was some people that were dressed up and were having fun. And there were some people who were there and they were serious. Like they knew what they were going in there for, right? But then something else that also stood out was if you have one or two or three people doing, saying certain things and doing something, it's one thing. But the mob becomes It's bigger than the people involved and the mob mentality, because all it takes is one person to say something and it gets everybody else riled up. And that mob mentality, the energy that's there, and that when you hear that, you go, some of these people are really clueless as to, because if I don't think I'm wrong, then so be it, right? And that's where they go like, well, everybody was doing it. If everybody jumps off a bridge, it goes back to our parents' lessons all the time, right? But at the same time, it's this mob mentality. So you go, well, of course I wasn't wrong. And you could tell some people were joking or just doing it for show. Like the one guy who picked up the phone, hey, Nancy Pelosi, yeah, we're coming for you, bitch. He was obviously not serious, but he was wrong.
100% wrong. And it's very interesting because this it leads me to think about my good friend Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz was on, I think he might have did this on CNN, but he went in an interview. He said that he called that the January 6th riot a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol. And he also, violent terrorist attack on the Capitol, right? His words, quote. He also praised, the men and women of law enforcement for their incredible courage and all that, which is all the right things that he should say.
Yeah, he should have said that January 6th.
Yeah, all the right things that he should say. That's what I think what any normal person would do. So then Tucker Carlson gets word of that and invites Ted Cruz on Fox. And is really challenging Ted Cruz on what he said. And it's funny. So Ted Cruz then on Fox News says, the way I phrased things yesterday was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And so Carlson goes, I don't buy it. You take words as seriously as any man who served in the Senate. And I was just like, okay, Tucker, hold him accountable, because that's true. Ted Cruz is very thoughtful with his words, with his lies, with his words. Sorry. And so
Tucker Carlson was pulling a Just Terrell and saying, no, this is not the apology tour. Stand by your words.
Yeah. And so Cruz responded like the limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers, not the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists, which I would agree with that. Now, here's where Carlson got in, and this made me laugh about this. He goes, what you just said doesn't make sense. Someone who assaults a police officer should go to jail, Carlson said, but the person's still not a terrorist. And I was just like, wait a minute. He is a terrorist. And then I was like, what's the definition, of a terrorist? Let's just go straight Webster's dictionary. And a terrorist is a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. So if you attack the Capitol in your pursuit to overthrow the election and keep Donald Trump in office, that's for political aims. That is the textbook definition of a terrorist. And in that process, if you assaulted a police officer while doing that, you're a terrorist. So it's okay. All the people standing outside just protesting, not terrorists. But the people that were, chasing down, get to politicians, get their hands on them physically, the ones that were hurting and assaulting all these law enforcement people, those people are terrorists.
They are. Yeah. And to Tucker Carlson's point, somebody assaulting a police officer is not a terrorist. But on that day, at that place, at that venue, yes, they definitely were.
Yeah.
So both things can be correct.
Yeah.
What do we always say? Both things can be true.
Yes.
And in this case, they are.
Yeah. Both things. But see, it's if you, this is my take on it. I think if they try to water down what is actually terrorism or an act of terrorism in the U.S. and water that down, it's easier to point out to Muslims, people of color, and call them terrorists, call, people from Iran and Afghanistan, that's terrorists. But when it happens here, it's like, no, these were just some bad people that had problems and troubled, but they're not terrorists.
Well, they're always troubled. They're always troubled, especially when they're the color of my paper. They're always troubled.
I wonder what video games they played, what music they listened to that led them to attack police officers.
Exactly. What were they searching online? Look, here's the thing about it. And I think it's very important. And this is something I never really thought about. there's a congressman who served in Iraq. He's a Marine Corps vet, and he came to the forefront when because he really kind of helped organize things as people they're trying to get some of the representatives out, right? But he said in this documentary, you got to watch it when you get a chance. 4 hours at the Capitol. But he says when he saw the buses coming in, that's when he got nervous because he knew those buses were there to take them away to a safe place. But he said, and I never thought of it in this way. And when he said it in this, I was like, I'll be damned. He said, he texted everybody that he could and said, do not get on the bus. We cannot leave the Capitol. If we give up the Capitol, this country goes. And he was so right. Like you can't, if you're fortifying a place, you can't leave. You leave, you've just given it up. And had they given it up, then all of a sudden they don't get to do the votes because all the paperwork's still inside. And then what happens? Now Trump remains in office. When he said that, I was like, I'll be damned. And he was right. You can't give up your position. But that's the military mindset, right? You don't give up your position. And, kudos to the men that fought hard to keep them from coming into that tunnel, which is the tunnel that the president walks out of for inauguration every 4 years. And they stood in that tunnel for, I think it was almost an hour, battling these crowds of people that were calling for we need fresh bodies up front.
Yeah.
And they had more fresh bodies on the outside than they were on the inside. So I say, man, watching that really, it really changed. I don't think it changes your perspective on it, but it really brings a lot more things to light that you got to see. And of course, I don't expect it to change anybody's mind. Because if you already feel one way, you're going to be there. Because one thing we know about politics these days, if you're on one side, you're there. Whether you're on the far right or the far left, you're stuck there. Those of us that actually have common sense in the middle, we kind of understand and see a little bit and understand from either side, but we don't have to deal with the extreme right or the extreme left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wish I was more engaged politically in my younger years because as I've gotten older and started paying more attention to politics, it just seems like it's, to your point, it's a very extreme deal, right? Where you have people that if you're not conservative, we can't even be friends. Like some people have that mindset. If you're not liberal, we can't even be friends. So it's just so crazy how it's to that point. And then as soon as someone does say that, whether I've seen people don't even like people who consider themselves moderate. Because they're like, oh, nope, you're in the middle. You don't take a stand. I'm like, both things, y'all both have good points. I could like a little bit of the conservative side or the GOP side. I can like a little bit of, what the Dems have to say. But it's just everything is so political that it drives this hate, that it motivates that many people to go out there and do what they did at the Capitol and to feel like they're justified in doing it. That's the thing that's like, I just don't understand that. And even the military people or former military people that did that, especially them, you knew you were wrong. Through all the things you learned in the military, you knew what you were doing was wrong, but yet you still feel, that you were on the right side of justice and law. It's just insane. It's just insane.
Perfect example of the mob mentality really is Fox News, people like Tucker Carlson, who literally, you have Ted Cruz finally making a statement we can agree on that, these were terrorists. It was wrong. And kudos to the brave men and women who protected the Capitol, especially the brother who led them up the stairs and away from, and was literally just feet away. And if you go back and look at the video, he actually he swings at one of the people just to make sure they come towards him. Because had they turned right, there was no stopping it. And they're in there on the Senate floor, right? So kudos to all of them, because there was so much that they had to fight through that day that they were not prepared for. But for Ted Cruz to go on there, and then they're trying to get him to change his voice and change what he said and make sure, backpedal on all those words, because you need to follow along with exactly what we say here on the extreme right. That's the mob mentality. Unfortunately, Ted Cruz is going to say, you know what? You're right. I apologize, and I'm coming back to my peoples, and I'm going to say exactly what you want me to say. And Texas is going to vote him back in because Texas is going to Texas is going to Florida, Texas is going to Flexus. Ted Cruz will be back because he is going to conform and go right back in, and then he'll be one of the front runners for the Republican nomination for president of the United States.
I don't want to see it. I'm hoping that Texans remember snowpocalypse and all these different things that I keep pointing out when Ted Cruz puts his foot in his mouth. Change could happen in Georgia. So maybe Texas will go blue.
It happened in Georgia, but let's be real. It happened in Atlanta. Because Marjorie Taylor Greene is still from Georgia.
Yeah, there is that. She cray.
Speaking of cray, in this bullshit, man, did you see this? January's dry January, and PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, never had it in my life.
I don't think I have either.
But they tweeted, not drinking this January, try eating ass. I don't know what possessed them to do that, but what I love about when somebody does something like this is you have certain brands, right, that their Twitter accounts, whoever's running their Twitter account, we always like to say this, that person deserves a raise today. And this is where you get like brands like Slim Jim and delivery app Waiter who got in a discussion with replies like, we don't eat that. No, we don't eat what we don't deliver, and we don't deliver that. I love it.
I always wonder when companies have these random tweets that go viral in a negative way. And I wonder, is it a stunt sometimes? Like, are we doing this just to get, because I've never thought about PBR until that article came out. I still don't want to try it. But I started thinking, like, is this like it's like an Antonio Brown rage quitting. Like, I feel like whoever works on their social media team is like, I hate this job. I'm about to leave. I'm going to go out with a bang. Send. And then they walked out and went home. Like that's an Antonio Brown way to quit a job, is to do that. That is just crazy that it's just crazy that you're able to, that no one caught it right away.
Here's my question though, because I don't drink PBR. Do you?
No.
Okay, so if anybody drinks PBR or has had PBR, does it taste like ass? I mean, seriously. I mean, I guess this is the next real question because how do the two correlate? If you're not drinking,
I don't even get. I just don't understand. Right? I mean, there's nothing to that. So to me, it has to be a rage quit situation. That somebody, the Great Resignation, this is how I'm going to go out. Send.
And you may be right because a marketing executive said the tweets were written in poor judgment by one of our associates. And it, quote, in no way does the content of these tweets reflect the values of Pabst and our associates, end quote. Right.
He gone. Or she gone. Whoever it is. The other thing, this bullshit, did you see the story? You talk about, it's February, right? We're getting ready to go into, the big dating season. Either you're trying to go ahead and lock it down to have a great date on Valentine's Day, or you're marketing yourself. So a lot of people are on, all the different type of dating apps and online websites, and it's just lunch. All these different
freshening up their dating resumes.
Exactly. There's this guy in London, and I'm like, I respect the hustle. So he put a billboard up that he's a Muslim man, and he put a billboard up asking people to save him from an arranged marriage. So he has himself up there. He has his hashtag link. He has a website. He's a 29-year-old man that's looking for a wife, but he doesn't want an arranged marriage. Now, kudos to him that he, on his website, he says there's nothing wrong with arranged marriages, and there's statistics that show that a lot more of arranged marriages work than the others. Totally get that. But how cool is that? Put a big billboard of yourself just to market it as people are driving by. Way better than getting clicks on a dating app, dating profile. I like the hustle.
I mean, you got to respect this fact that, he went ahead and spent his money, put the billboard up. He's probably going to get a lot, like you said, a lot more hits than he would on a dating site. But he's also going to get a lot of hits that he didn't want. Because there's going to be a lot of people. If you thought going through that arranged marriage was bad. And my question to this is, how bad is the arranged marriage? Does he already know who he's supposed to marry? He's like, oh, hell no. I'd rather spend this money on this billboard. Hell no. I'm going to take my chances out here. And that's why he did it. Because, I mean, you've seen arranged marriages that work out. And if this is something that's part of the culture, then, it doesn't mean that you're going to get an unattractive. It's like Married at First Sight, except with your family.
Yeah.
Instead of the experts, you get your family. And the question is, do you want to marry somebody that your mom picked out for you?
Here's what's funny is I have a friend of mine, close friend of mine, that had an arranged marriage. Mm-hmm. And I met him when he was single. And so when he was telling us he was going through this process, I was like, I have a lot of questions. And it's not so much the parents to get together and say, hey, y'all two will be together. It's a different process. And so like in India, they actually have sites, but you don't put your own profile together, that your parents put a profile together. Mm-hmm. And then the parents, they pick a girl and the girl's parents pick you and y'all match. And so then the parents have some conversations where they're trying to understand this person's background, upbringing, so on and so forth. And then there's an opportunity for the two kids to meet. And so I think they normally have a phone call, but then they get a chance to meet in person. They have a chance to back out. Like they don't have to do it.
Is this where he was in this process? Because he might have been like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. But I mean, they can back out and then you just pick someone else. You start over. Mm. But it's not like you are forced to marry this person, whether you like it or not. It's not really that way, but it's a very interesting system that works for some folks. But I'm curious to see what type of response that he's going to get from this. And true, you're going to get some negative responses, but I'm just curious to see if that worked. What if that's the new thing, where it's just billboards, or how you have people pay for ads in your social media channels, so in your timeline, all of a sudden some little ad pops up for something maybe you've said and Siri caught it and they just don't Google through some ads your way. What if there were some Google ads, all of a sudden pops up where a girl's like, hey, I'm single, I'm 29, I'm looking for XYZ, I live in this city, hashtag hit me up.
And what's the first thing you do? You go to her social media and scan through all the pictures, because the one picture they put up is the best one they have. And you don't want to be caught with that and be like, You scan through all the pictures. Notice the dates on the pictures.
Well, the great thing about the billboard, it's a giant billboard and it's a full body shot of him. So it's not like one of those just from the neck up, or from one of those weird angles that you see.
Have you ever heard of Photoshop?
True.
And have you ever had to take a picture for a woman for social media? Because it's usually a process. It's not just click. All right, here you go. No, it's click, 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 click. 30 minutes later, click, click, click.
Filter, 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 filter.
I like none of these. Let's do it again. That's usually how it works.
That's why, like, if I'm out and about and you're walking by a group of girls, like, excuse me, can you take a picture for us? I'm like, nope, can't. Because
really?
Yeah, because it's not just going to be like it's going to be, click, let me see. Oh, wait, no, can you do it again? Now it's a job. Now I'm like, now I got to charge you.
Let me teach you how to do this. What you do is you go, okay, on the count of 3. Now this is my finger on the thing. 1, 2, 3. Hey, I took a few of them, and you walk away.
That's smart. Okay, I will try that.
You take a bunch of them and go, I took a few. And then you hand the camera and you start moving. You don't stop after that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're there all day. Good point. But
no, thank you. That's a great tip. I will do that.
This one came in rgrtpod@gmail.com, and it's a link to a Reddit post that was like, if you could quit your job today and be financially okay forever, what would you do to keep busy? And the reason being because, this great resignation. I know you've seen this as you're trying to hire folks around the country. The great resignation continues around the country and probably around the globe, and it hit an all-time high in November. And this thread asked this one question. And what would people say? Stuff like, open a books and curiosity store in a place that's out of the way. Buy an RV and hit the open road with my dog. Really? Start my damn food truck. I like this one. Make bad art. Or this, I didn't realize I actually posted on here, but apparently I did, because golf every morning, video games all day. Apparently I was up there. I didn't know that.
If I could quit my job today and be financially okay. Now, I have questions. What does financially okay mean? Because there's that. I don't want to have just enough to pay my bills and survive. That's not
Right.
fine. So I'd have to define what financially okay is for people. Now, for me, financially okay is saying if I could quit my job today and still make what I make now, and then I'd be financially okay. But
True.
I would probably, as much as I hate these reality shows, I'd probably do more recaps. It seems to be the thing. These reality shows are so stupid, and they take hours for these 3-hour premieres of Married at First Sight. So 8 hours a week of watching this crap, and then we could post more content. And I would do something like that. I would probably.
Wait, before you go on to the next thing, because I can hear the wheels turning of people as they watch this and go, how can we make this happen? Should we start a GoFundMe to go ahead and get you to do? Because we've had requests to watch 90 Day Fiance, Ready for Love. Should we start a GoFundMe for
we could. I would build my help you break up consultancy business. So there's that. So, Terry, what are you doing Wednesday? Oh, I got to fly to New York. This guy Chad is breaking up with Becky, and he needs some help.
And on the flight, I'm going to watch 90 Day Fiance. Yeah, I don't know that I could quit working. So I'm with you. What would it be? It wouldn't be just golf every morning. Sounds like fun. Video games all day, man. Even now, I can't do video games for too long. Anyway, I still like having fun with it, but not for a long period of time. But yeah, I still need something to stimulate my mind, and so I definitely still do some projects. And for me, it would be about helping some other folks out. But I'd stay busy. My grandfather worked. He quit 3 jobs when he stopped doing those 3 main jobs I knew him doing when I was growing up. He decided to become a judge because he couldn't just sit at home and do nothing. So it's one of those things. I think that's just in my blood for me. I'm going to have to keep working. But you know how much less bullshit you put up with on your job?
Yes.
This is just my pocket money. I really don't need this.
Yeah.
Y'all will talk to me a little different.
Well, but that's what's great about those passion projects where if you're financially okay forever, you don't have to deal with a whole lot of crap. I'm not doing no 8 o'clock meeting. I'm not doing that. I can just, hey, this week I'm gonna take this week off. I'm just go chill and go do some stuff, and then I'm gonna jam pack another week full of projects. But the idea of just being financially okay to where you don't have to worry, you're not gonna put up with a lot of that crap.
So that being said, Powerball, Mega Millions. Oh Jesus. Remember, this is what we do. Mondays, we drop the audio episodes. Tuesdays, we do the video episodes on YouTube. And Wednesdays, we're back. Married at First Sight, Season 14, the recaps. We drop video and audio Wednesday night / Thursday morning. Big ups to everybody, and thank you to everybody who's come back. Who are happy to see us back. We're happy to see that you're happy. Terrell is extremely happy. I love the fact that you've got people on there saying we're wearing him down, episode by episode, season by season.
It's terrible. I can't remember what coach said this, but it's the downfall of society. That's the problem with these reality shows. It's the downfall of society.
Well, we know that. Society's been on a downhill slide ever since Flavor of Love, but here we are. If you can't beat them, join them. No. And here we go with another season. Season 14, 432 episodes of Married at First
All of them are 3 hours long. The reunion is a 5-hour, 2-part miniseries.
See, you already know all the details.
No, it's terrible.
Hey, I'm Yonni Rude.
And I'm Just Terrell.
Make sure you follow us at Yonni Rude, at Just Terrell, and at RGRT Pod.
Yes, be sure to send us some of your random thoughts or some of your bullshit, and we'll talk about it on the show.
It's a Regular Guys Random Thoughts podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.